23 years ago, I volunteered to fight for the Union Army, as did many of you here today. All of us volunteered to fight for an army whose sole purpose was to set other men free. Having been wounded 3 times in 3 different battles is not a distinction I'm particularly proud of, but I shall always be proud of my fellow comrades, living and dead, who not only played a part in my survival, but more importantly, played a part in the survival of our nation and of freedom. Not long ago, I heard a young man ask why Memorial Day is still kept up. We may answer. It celebrates and solemnly reaffirms from year to year a national act of enthusiasm and faith. It embodies our belief that to act with enthusiasm and faith is the condition of acting greatly. To fight out a war, you must believe something and want something with all your might. So must you do to carry anything else to an end worth reaching. You must be willing to commit yourself to a course, perhaps a long and hard one, without being able to foresee exactly where you will come out. All that is required of you is that you should go at something as hard as ever you can. The rest belongs to fate. As life is action and passion, it is required of a man that he should share the passion and action of his time, at peril of being judged not to have lived. Feeling begets feeling, and great feeling begets great feeling. We can hardly share the emotions which make this day to us the most sacred day of the year, without in some degree imparting them to those who come after us. I believe from the bottom of my heart that our memorial halls and statues and the tattered flags in our state houses are worth more to our young men by way of refinement and inspiration than the monuments of another 100 years of peaceful life could be. But it is enough for us that this day is dear and sacred. You meet an old comrade after many years of absence who recalls the moment you were nearly surrounded by the enemy. But as surely as this day comes round, we are in the presence of the dead. For 1 hour on this day when we decorate their graves, the dead come back and live with us. I see them now as once I saw them on this earth. I see a fair-haired lad, a captain and a lieutenant, but still young, sitting by the long mess table. I remember as I woke in the hospital after the battle, I heard the doctor say he was a beautiful boy, and I knew that one of those 2 officers was no more. I see another youthful lieutenant as I saw him when I looked down the line. The advance was beginning. We caught each other's eye and saluted. When next I looked, he was gone. He entered the Army at 19. Already at the head of his regiment, he was little more than a boy, but the grizzled corps commanders knew and admired him. And for us, his death seemed to end a portion of our life also. I speak of those whom I have seen, but you all have known such. You too remember. And it is not of the dead alone that we think on this day. There are those whose sex forbade them to offer their lives, but who gave instead their happiness. Those lovely, lonely women around whom the wand of sorrow has traced its excluding circle. And not all of those whom we once loved and revered are gone. On this day at least, we still meet and rejoice in the closest tie which is possible between men, a tie which suffering has made indissoluble. When we meet thus, we do honor to the dead in terms which must embrace the living. In our youth, our hearts were touched with fire. It was given to us at the outset to learn that life is a profound and passionate thing. Yet every year, in the full tide of spring, at the height of the symphony of flowers and love and life, there comes a pause. And year after year, honor and grief from us who have seen the best and noblest of our generation pass away. But grief is not the end of all. I hear the funeral march become a song of joyful praise. I see beyond the forest our dead brothers still live for us and bid us think of life, not death, of life, to which in their youth they lent the passion and joy of the spring. And as I listen, the great chorus of life and joy begins again. And amid the orchestra of seen and unseen powers of good and evil, our trumpets sound once more a note of daring, hope, and will. And so, may you all have a very pleasant and peaceful Memorial Day. Thank you.